chapter 3, Karma Yoga. We have already dwelled into chapter 2 and chapter 1. Arjun is confused and Krishna is giving him knowledge. And that is how Bhagavad Gita was written. A knowledge, and which is even today so meaningful. And chapter 3 is Karma Yoga, the yoga of action or the yoga of doing your duty. Now, whatever is happening here, in the chapter 2, Arjun is being given Gyan, he's being given knowledge, and that the soul is eternal, it never dies, so we all have to do our karma, our duty. Arjun is still confused and he's asking Krishna, when you've given me Gyan and if you feel Gyan is bigger than karma, why do I have to perform my karma? And that's where Krishna tells him, because you are here in this mortal world and you have to do your actions. And what are the main themes in this lesson? Let's move on to understanding them. The context we all know that Arjun is still confused, he's still perplexed, and he's not aware why he has to do his karma. And Krishna is trying to tell him he's the guide, he's the mentor, and we all are looking for a mentor or a guide even today. In Bhagavad Gita or Krishna, his discourse, his knowledge which he's imparting to Krishna, to Arjun, works as a major tool even today. So the themes are necessity of action. Krishna is telling Arjun that he has to act. He is here and right now he's in the battlefield. His duty is to act. His duty is to stand against the wrong. And Duryodhan has been wrong all this while. So Duryodhan will have to be, facing the music. That is how the battle is going to happen. And how is this still necessary in our lives? We all need to perform our actions, because if you don't perform actions, we'll not be living a life which is fulfilling, which is right, because karma, we all have to perform. If we just sit down and ask for food, is somebody going to give us that food? No. We'll have to put it in our mouth. We'll have to put it. We'll have to chew it. We'll have to let it go down our system to become stronger. So action of any type is required by us, the mortal beings. And when you talk about relationships, it becomes all the more important. We have to perform our duties towards our children, our parents, our peers, our elders, our friends, everybody. We have to make sure that whatever relationship we are in, we do our jobs, we do our responsibilities, we perform our duties well. And that is the meaning of necessity of action. And the second point, which is even important and related, is selfless action. We are always looking for something or the other out of whatever we are performing. When we do something for our children, we are expecting that our children are going to take care of us in the later life. They are going to be good to us. They are going to be respectful to us, which is justified. But Krishna is telling Arjun right now that if you have a responsibility, if you have a duty to perform, you will have to perform it selflessly, which means it is kind of a yama. We all know the Ashtanga Patanjali Yoga, 8 niyamas, the 8 limbs. And the first of them is yama, which means sacrifice. You have to be doing your duty without attachments to the results, that what you are going to get out of it. And that is a major issue in today's modern life. In relationships today, when we are giving love, we are giving support, we are expecting the same back, and when we are not getting it, we are getting anxious, we are getting stressful, and we are feeling bad about it. So if we are doing some acts of kindness, and if we are, doing some services towards the community, towards our children, towards our relations, let's not expect. Let them be selfless actions performed as a duty. That is what Krishna is telling Arjun also, that in the battlefield, he'll not have to think about what is going to happen. His duty is going to be selfless action. The point is interconnectedness. Now here Krishna is mentioning about the cosmic order and the cycle of life and how they are maintained through selfless actions. See, if we are doing something, it is going to have a ripple effect, which means if we are going to be nice to our kids, we are going to listen to them, communicate with them well, they are going to do the same with us and others, so that way the society is going to be helped, everybody is going to be in harmony. But if we teach our kids to fight, we shout on them, we are always doing wrong, we are fighting with our parents, we are fighting with our friends, we are fighting wherever you go, what is the ripple action effect going to be? Everybody around is going to learn that, or they are going to keep away from us. So it is all about maintaining the cosmic order, that interconnectedness of the entire being is there. The awareness, that empathy encourages people to be connected to each other. If I listen to you, you will listen to me. But if I don't listen to you, if I don't pay attention to you, I take you for granted, you will also have the same feelings for me. You will not be able to justify the relationship. So do good if you want good to happen, though you don't have to expect still. It's kind of a thing which confuses, but actually doesn't. Because when you start doing good, believe me, you will stop expecting. If you stop expecting and if you're performing your duty, you will be in peace and you will see the ripple effect and people performing the same thing, things happening, the aura of the same kind happening around you. Try doing it and you will see the magic. And if you're already doing, wonderful. Point 4 is consequences of inaction. Now I'll read a shalok which is from somewhere, but it will make sense to everybody. उद्यमे हि सिद्ध्यन्ति कार्याणि न मनोरथे न हि सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य pravishanti mukhe mrigaha, which means if I just keep thinking of things and don't do anything, is there going to be anything happening? No. So Krishna is talking of consequences of inaction, which means if one neglects one's duties and leads a life which is just without any action and a life of inaction, there is going to be sin and disorder. There is going to be unruly business. And in contemporary life, if I don't, perform my duties as a therapist, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, what am I going to be piling upon me? It will be complete negative pattern. My thought process will get negative. I'll just be sitting and not doing anything. What will happen to my mind? It will stop working. So I will not be fulfilling my relationships. My kids will feel bad about me. My husband will feel bad about me. Everybody will feel, what is this? What is she trying to do? So fulfilling our duties requires us to stand up and do our action. Just by thinking, nothing is going to happen. Or just by leaving everything to God, nothing is going to happen. That is what is Karma Yoga. We will have to get up. We'll have to perform our actions. And that will bring stability. And it will foster a sense of reliability. And the trust will be there in the relationships. So that's what even Arjun is being told by Krishna, that if you don't perform action, what will happen? Duryodhan will again, he will be doing his things again. He'll be doing the same thing, but what will happen to you? You will not be performing your duties as a human being or as you're supposed to perform after whatever has happened to you and to Pandavas. So it is very important to perform our duty. Inaction is going to bad. Just thinking, wishful thinking is not going to lead us anywhere. And number 5 point is leading by example. Arjun has to lead by example. He has to, show how he stands up to right, and so he'll have to perform his duty. He'll have to lead by example, and we as human beings have to lead by positive examples, doing right thing, by making actions, by performing our karma. Only then we'll be able to justify everything. Otherwise, no karma, no action, repercussions, everything is going to be negative, anxiety, stress, nothing positive will come out of it. Then point 6 is overcoming ego and desire. So important today also. If I am just doing my jobs out of ego and just wanting things to be there for me, I will not be able to justify anything because my expectations will ride high and my ego will become supreme. My desires would become so strong that my entire karma would be suffering. So I don't have to succumb to egos. I have to overcome my ego and desire, and I have to perform my duties the way they should be. And controlling our desires and anger, we'll become more stable. We'll achieve samatva. We will be very balanced human beings. We'll be attached yet detached. We will know what to perform, how to perform, instead of doing duties out of egos and out of desires and out of anger, which we all know psychologically it is very bad for anybody and everybody. And the last point of the chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, we talk about integration of knowledge and action. You remember Arjun asked Krishna that you were telling me Gyan Yoga is the biggest, highest, then why do I perform my karma? So he's trying to integrate the Gyan and action. But when he says that you have the Gyan, but you have to perform your action. And in today's modern life, it means applying what we learn in our actions. Whatever knowledge we get, we perform our actions on the basis of it. In the same way, the knowledge which Krishna is giving to Arjun, he's telling him that your duty right now is to fight, and he's giving him Gyan of the immortality of soul, of his karma. He's giving him knowledge, but he's telling him, you're getting the knowledge. Now you have to compile both. You have to work on your knowledge, and then you have to perform your karma on the basis of that. In the same way, we human beings have to gather knowledge, which is giving us a direction, making us to move in that and perform our duties, our rightful duties, so that there can be a personal growth and quality in our relationships. So that is about chapter 3, Karma Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. Namaskar.